The BS Report is a free-flowing conversation that occasionally touches on mature subjects.
First of all,
This is the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
it might be cool, I don't know. And if it's not, I don't
The
care.
BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Bill Simmons works for ESPN. He's also named the Sports Guy, and he writes a comical sports column. He must be a popular dude.
The BS Report.
It's got a real dirty sound, like a rusty steak knife cutting through a well-aged steak.
Now.
Here's Bill Simmons.
Welcome to BS Report. Taping this on a Monday afternoon, hopefully running on Tuesday. Adam Carolla from AdamCarolla.com, the Adam Carolla podcast, the Adam Carolla 19 different ventures that you have going, and now of Mangria.
Great to be a part of the program. Yes, I brought some of my delectable Mangria with me, as I did to your child's birthday party
Yes.
the other weekend.
I thought when the kids were drinking it, that was a little uncalled for.
Let me tell you, sometimes the ice will clog up the sippy cup, and so that's why I have to refrigerate it, and I'll just refrigerate it in the sippy
Good
cup.
point.
I'll throw the cup in there.
So Mangria, it's like 21% alcohol.
Yes,
Yeah.
but it tastes good.
Now,
It's got a little pop. Yeah.
knowing you, like 90% of this for you was just the name. You probably came up with the name one day in the shower, and then
No.
it became a 5-year quest that I had to do this.
What happened with me and the Mangria, I'm not proud to say, I was in my kitchen on like a Saturday night in my bathrobe. Like, you
Is
know,
that the part you're not proud to say?
no, it gets much worse than that. But
Oh.
you know, you've bottomed out as a human being where it's just that Saturday night and you're home,
Yeah.
and you're not on the road and everyone is leaving you alone.
Yeah.
Like there's that point where you just I'm entering my, what I like to call my Ed Asner phase of life.
Your antisocial
I just
apex.
went, the greatest day of my life could just be left alone.
Yeah.
Like, so it's Saturday night, there's nothing to do but to watch whatever's queued up on the TiVo, and I'm in my bathrobe, and it's 9:30 at night, and the kids have gone to bed, and the wife's upstairs watching her housewife show,
Right.
being educated by that. And then I'm going, look, I'm going to drink some red wine, and I'm just going to mellow out and watch some TV.
There's some bad boxing on probably.
Right, yeah. There's somebody going at it
Yeah.
on HBO 3, and on ESPN 3, and I'm going to watch it. And I had a splash of red wine left at the bottom of one of my bottles,
Yeah.
and then I can't get dressed and go to a liquor store because that would make me an alcoholic.
Good point.
Especially if I show up in the bathrobe, then I'm
Yeah.
really an alcoholic. So then, what ironically makes you a bigger alcoholic is I go into the cabinet and I get out some vodka, and I'm like, I'm going to turbocharge this red wine. I give it a shot of vodka, and it tastes like ass, so I dump in a little orange juice, and I start mixing around. I put some ice in it, and I got the lab coat on, and a mortar and pestle, and the whole thing. And next thing you know, I invent Mangria.
Yeah.
And then the next day, I'm kidding around when I go into work, and I say, I invented something called Mangria.
Yeah.
And I screw around with it enough that eventually our buddy Mike August, who wants to make a nickel at every turn, says, I found a guy to make you Mangria. And
Yeah.
I was like, really? Well, I was kidding about it. And next
Right.
thing you know, Mangria.
Somehow Mike August, I don't know how this happened, but became like butt of the jokes. Like now can actually like get stuff done.
Yeah.
I feel like he's using PEDs. Is this possible? Like if this is a baseball player, he'd be like, "You're a 220
He's
career
juicing.
hitter.
Yeah, what's going on?
How are you competing for the Triple Crown?"
Yeah, I think once you get a little success, it builds, and I mean, he's still keeping it real. Like when we came back from Denver about 9 months ago, and he opened his duffel bag to proudly present all the rolls of toilet paper he had stolen from the condo we were put up at. Because when I did a show in Denver, they put us up in like a luxury condo where that's somebody's house, basically, they let you stay at, and he stole every single roll of Charmin they had in the closet.
Yeah.
So he's keeping it real. But
And he still steals the shampoos, I'm sure, and soaps and whatever he gets his hands on.
unclear that he bathes, so I don't know, but maybe he steals that for resale. I actually picture him stealing like miniature sample size, hotel size bottles of like Prel or Suave or whatever they have, and then milking them all into one large size 32 ouncer, and then trying to sell it on eBay for
like
$4. Maybe.
We should probably mention that you spend more time with Mike August than your family.
Yeah.
It's like every weekend you're traveling. Like this week you're going. Where are you going? Washington on
I'm
Thursday?
going to Washington and doing a show Thursday night, Washington, D.C. I don't know what the name of the venue is.
And then New York on Saturday. At the end of the podcast, I'll give the theaters.
New York.
New York Saturday,
City.
November 10th. But like every weekend, you're away doing shows. I think that's why nobody calls you anymore, because people just assume you're like going to be
on the
Milwaukee.
road. Yeah. Town Hall, New York City, like Saturday night.
It's like being friends with somebody who's in an indie band.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh,
I'm in a
touring?
van.
No, they're not touring this weekend. Yeah.
Right, but you never know.
Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
You just assume that you're touring.
Yeah, that's why I was so happy to be in my bathrobe on that Saturday night.
The faithful night of Mangria.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good luck with this. You can buy it in the stores. You can buy it on your website.
You can only get it on buymangria.com. But except for
buymangria.com.
I think your mom bought a case and shipped it to like a liquor
my mom
store
got all fired up about
or something.
Yeah,
I love that about her.
Yeah.
I love that.
She does weird stuff online. All right, let's give the people what they want. First of all, we've owed them a Taken 2 review for like 3-4 weeks.
Sure.
First movie since Fast 5 that you just see the ad once, I just immediately call you and we just know we're going.
Any movie where somebody calls the hero and says, I've got your daughter, and he says, and they want something, and then they explain, I'm coming for you, I'm in. Anytime they say, I'm coming for you.
I'm coming for you has big success rate over the course of history. Like even Stallone has used that to his advantage. Like Rambo 2 was... Right.
So,
Rambo 2,
you've called up to like get some ransom or get something from somebody, and they've made the announcement, I'm coming for you. I like that.
Well,
that where they turn it.
Mel Gibson's Ransom, which is really kind of a terrible movie, but I'll watch any kidnapping movie now that I have 2 kids.
Right.
And it's really a terrible movie except for the one scene when he tells the kidnapper, no, this is how it's going to work.
Right.
I'm going to put a bounty on you. I'm coming after you. I'm going to haunt. That's the best scene in the movie, and it makes you wait for an hour just for that one scene. Because it's really not an entertaining movie. It's just a kid being tortured on a bed.
I feel like, sadly, I have children as well, a boy and a girl as well. If there was ever a kidnapping situation at the Carolla house, there'd be some unfortunate questions asked, like, which one did they get? The boy. Oh. You sure they didn't get Natalia? No, they got the boy. But did they take the girl too? No, they just took the boy.
So I got one left.
Yeah. Okay. So we just got the girl. Well, what do they want? Like $100,000? No, they want $1 million. Oh, wow. That's. I mean, listen. He's great and all. I mean, he's an awesome kid, but $1 million buys a lot of kid. That's.
I was thinking more 150.
Yeah, I mean, 150 goes a long way, like when you're a junkie or whatever, what are these guys, they're not Donald Trump. Obviously, if they're doing well for themselves, it's $1 million, huh? Well, this sounds unorthodox. Can we swap out the girl, or do we not know where they are? Okay. No, listen, I'm grieving, so I'm just, I'm spitballing. You can't hold any of this against me. What if I trade him the girl and I'll toss in one of my cars? Oh, so that's not how it works. All right. Yeah, $1 million.
You can't make trades with captors.
Well, listen, see if you can talk them down to, let's say, start at like 250. Let me get Dixon on the phone. Because I feel like Dixon could get him down a little bit.
Our agent James Dixon could actually be the one who solves a lot of hostage crises.
Right.
I think that'd be one of his talents.
Right. He'd be like, listen, baby doll, I got him to 850. I know that's not exciting, but you get a credit. You're going to be credited, executive producer credit. So you get points on the back end.
So Taken 2.
Right.
I mean, there's a lot of holes. So let's just, coming out of the gate, starts out for some reason, Liam Neeson is working in a car wash, which is kind of this throwaway scene. We're not supposed to kind of understand what could happen. This guy was one of the best what was he, Secret Service?
It's always unclear because it's supposed to be unclear because it's supposed to be a branch of the government that you're not aware of.
Right, which is always fun.
They're the black ops.
Right.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to know what they do, and even if you're in it, you don't tell anybody.
They don't have a windbreaker that says something on the back of it, but if it did, it'd just be a big question mark.
So, for some reason, he's retired, but didn't make enough money from doing all the stuff that he did over the years that he's now washing cars.
Right.
Which they always go, like, when they want to make the point that somebody's hit rock bottom in a movie or a TV show, they always go with, like, they go way too far with whatever the job is.
Yeah.
Like, he could have just been working for an insurance firm.
It's more glamorous, I think, to have that, like in the beginning of the first Stallone movie where, you know, he's just where he's a drifter.
He's a drifter.
You know, in First
no
Blood,
job. Yeah.
like he's a drifter, like he's jobless. Like if he worked at a Walmart,
it
wouldn't be as romantic as drifter.
Right.
So like no job better than a job that's boring or that any of us could have.
Liam Neeson have owned the car wash or owned a piece of it?
Yeah,
like he took some of his hard-earned money and
I don't know, and I don't know how car washes work because it was. They used to brag a lot of time. Our car wash is brushless. Remember that? Big brushless. I'm like, well, what do I need you for? I like brushes.
Well, it's supposedly one of the worst ways to invest your money if you're an athlete.
Car wash?
Yeah, they always talk like it's one of the worst celebrity investments. Restaurants, car washes.
Oh, really?
And bars.
Really?
Those are the big three.
Well, yeah, tell that to Marvin Harrison.
Well, he had a club that he
had a car wash.
He had a car wash / nightclub.
And I told him, put the car wash on the first floor, but he wouldn't listen. He wouldn't listen.
So take it to...
Didn't Marvin Harrison have a car wash? Didn't he have a chain of car washes?
Marvin Harrison was never investigated the way he should have been.
I know.
He had this person who was shot outside his club with like a certain type of bullet from a certain type of gun, and Marvin Harrison had... I forget that story, but it was crazy.
I'm telling you, there's something with a car wash there. Yeah, I know. Lenny Dykstra's got to be like, what? What are you coming after me for? What about Marvin? Also, it turns out when the person that's dead is like a dope dealer and a pimp and a ne'er-do-well, they just don't look into it like it's a Kennedy. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
It's a very good point.
Which I'm fine with. That's just Darwinism. All right, so
take it to, he's trying to get back together with his ex-wife, who's in a bet, and decides he has some business in Turkey.
Right.
Decides maybe the wife and the daughter, who's somehow not traumatized anymore from almost being in this Eastern Europe porn ring, perfectly now willing to go back.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm her, I'm probably not going back to Europe or Turkey or any of these places. I'm probably staying in the States.
Yeah, I'm getting a place in
7-8 years.
Montana, about 3 or 4 stories beneath the ground, just living off of canned goods.
She's very happy to go
listening
back to
a wind-up radio.
Yeah.
And that's about it. Yeah.
So they all go back, and needless to say, that all the people that Liam Neeson wiped out.
Also, a lot of these guys are trying to get back together with their ex-wife, who they got divorced from, 8 years earlier.
Yeah, it's a movie plot. It never happens in real life.
No disrespect to my wife Lynette, but if things ever go south, don't expect me to come by in 10 years trying to get back together. Yeah. There'll be a lot of, hey, can you watch the kids? I'm banging a 23-year-old cocktail waitress. But there's not going to be a lot of me trying to patch up whatever happened.
Also,
with all those.
Do we know anybody who's ever gotten back together?
No, well, Liz Taylor.
I know a couple of divorced people, and if they ever got back together with their exes, I would have a heart attack.
Yeah, I think we're thinking of some of the same people.
Well, I think we are.
Well, there's a reason why you get divorced, number one. And it's never like, well, we got divorced and she dropped 20 pounds and got 10 years younger. Yeah. They usually go south. Let's be honest.
In the movie, it's always like the guy, his job was so all-consuming. It's one of those. It's like, I didn't realize what I had until I lost it.
The thing is, too, is you get divorced for messing around with other women, maybe their sister. Stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
That kind of stuff. Gambling addiction, drug addiction. Working too hard, not usually at the top of the divorce list.
Unless you lost all your money as you were working too hard. Then it might suddenly.
Right, yeah, in a car wash with Marvin Harrison. But, yes, there's a lot of, like, I was married to my job, And they do that whole thing because what they have to do.
Now I realize what I gave up.
They have to do in every movie what they did in Con Air, which is this guy's a hero, Liam Neeson or Nick, and you have to get this guy in jail or you have to get him divorced. But how can you do this? I mean, how can you get this guy divorced or this guy in jail? And if you say, like, well, he check fraud. Like, the reason he's in jail is because he passed too many bad checks. You go, well, that's not something a hero would do. So you have the hero kill a guy with his bare hands who pulls a knife on him out in the parking lot, and next thing you know, he gets manslaughter, and next thing you know, he's in jail. So Liam Neeson can't be divorced because he was a horrible husband and dad. He needs to be divorced because he was married to his job.
They never would do like he was coaching a Pop Warner team, and it got a little weird. It got weird with one of the 12-year-olds.
He was addicted to internet porn,
and one of the 12-year-olds accused him of something. He's never convicted.
Yeah, but
he had stopped coaching.
Yeah, he had to stop, and then that became, and then the whole house arrest thing, and it was sad, and right. And then his computer was confiscated. Yeah, like no, it's never that.
He was cleared of all charges.
He was married to his job, and that's what happened. But he wants to get back with his wife.
So taken to a big scene. It's really not a very good movie, let's be honest. We both enjoyed it. It was what my dad would call a 5 o'clocker. A movie you see at 5 o'clock, like before dinner when you're killing 2 hours, but not something you'd see at night, maybe.
Well, it's also like it seemed like the fun size Halloween version of a regular Snickers bar. Like it was good, like a Snickers bar is, but there wasn't that much there.
It was missing.
It was a smaller version of what you were used to.
Yeah. So put it this way: like his daughter was trying to pass her driver's test. We don't know how old his daughter was. She could be 17. She could be 30.
Right.
It was a giant age range. She was in Lost. She got killed in Lost like 7 years ago.
Right.
As an adult on Lost. So I don't know how old we're supposed to think she is. She couldn't drive a stick, but then in Turkey.
Right.
She's the getaway driver in a car with a stick.
Right.
And both of us at that point got upset.
And Liam Neeson and John Cusack's hair are going to have some sort of Grecian formula like showdown. Like I feel like those guys, Cusack is the young upstart. Like, you know, he's still got a few years left, but his hair is, your hair should be of the decade that you're living in, you know, and it's okay to cheat Father Time by 8 years, but not 28 years, you know, and Liam Neeson's hair is going a little, you know, when your face
is 56, 58?
Liam?
Yeah,
Liam is 50s. Like 62.
No.
I swear to you, I looked it up. It's like 60, 61, 62. Yeah, I mean, could be older. Have a hit off that Mangria to help kill the crack 60.
Because his hair was like that Dr. Pepper color, which isn't a color. Isn't an actual hair color.
It is weird when they pick a third color. Like, what you have to do is, I mean, Schwarzenegger did the same thing, which is like, your hair started off as one color, it's turning gray, you want to keep it that same original color, but let's not pick a third color.
A new color. Different color.
I got to tell you, once you hit 50, nothing new ever happens. You get a little bit shorter and possibly a little erectile difficulty, but nothing really new in the color department shows up, you know? So I don't know.
Women do that too. Women, when they
pick a color.
Pick that weird blonde color that's not a real color either.
Yeah, it is weird.
You guys with Dr. Pepper color married to women who have that weird blonde color that's not a color.
Right. And so the Dr. Pepper color is fine as long as there's no light. Right. Like something called the sun that comes out every day that lives above your head. Yeah. Because then it gets weird when the light sort of passes through it. But anyway.
Wait a second, what is that? So anyway, the other people who Liam killed in Taken 1, the dad wants revenge. I always like when people want revenge.
Yeah.
And it's like, you killed my son. Well, wasn't your son like a rapist? And did he run like a hooker?
He was an honorable boy.
An honorable hooker. Brothel runner.
Yeah. Yeah, they do that.
Who immediately got women hooked on heroin and then sold them to billionaires.
Right.
He was a good man.
But he was my son. Yeah. I always think about that because, like, whenever I always laugh about that with my wife because my mom is, hands off, let's say, And whenever they do those, you see those news stories where like the son is accused of this, that, and the other, and the big mama's out there fighting with the cops, screaming, "My son would never do something like this." We always laugh about it because my mom, if somebody said like, "Do you think your son is capable of taking another life?" she'd be like, "Well, I mean, I wasn't there, so I suppose anything's possible."
Who knows?
Yeah, we don't know.
Who's to say?
I'd have to ask the police. I'm really not an expert. Like, she doesn't have an ounce of that. But this guy's dad, who was going to avenge the death of his son, was a pretty committed guy. I mean, there's part of me that said, well, this guy's a world-class a-hole. But there's another part of me that went, my dad would never get off his ass to do this for me.
He's a good dad.
Good
father.
He burned calories.
Yeah.
You know?
So he takes Liam.
Mm-hmm.
They make the classic mistake of, and how many action movies do we have to see this in, where the guy is somehow hanging, they leave him in the room.
They always leave him.
He's killed 30 people in the last movie. They put the one guy out guarding the door who's half asleep.
But let me say this about the one guy who's guarding the door. It's never a manpower shortage. Where it's never like where they go, well, this guy's hanging up this guy is essentially hanging from shackles from this weird air conditioning duct thing in this basement thing. Now, we need help unloading the van. It's never that. It's always like, I'm just going to sit on the other side of the door, close the door, and I'll sit there on a folding chair watching television.
Right.
And it's like, my thing is whenever, if and when I ever abduct somebody, I'm going to be like, hey, listen, I'm paying you by the hour.
Right.
I don't want you on the other side of the door.
In the room.
Yeah, in the room. And by the way, why are you shutting the door?
Right.
So what? So you fart and he smells it. Like, what's the big deal? You don't need to be in the other room. You sit in this room. Like, I'm paying you to watch this dude.
Liam was able to make a cell phone call.
Mm-hmm.
He was able to swing his body, like break the handcuffs. Like, he's making a lot of noise in there. And that guy was watching, like, Turkish Wheel of Fortune.
Right.
And missed it. But meanwhile, like, the bad guy had planned this whole, he's going to kidnap Liam's family, this whole master. And at some point, it was just like, all right, so when we get him, we'll just keep him in there, and then we'll have Irv guard the door.
Right.
And then we're going to go. We'll be good.
And Irv is always the dullest blade in the drawer,
Yeah.
and he always has the door shut, and he always has something occupying him.
Yeah.
Earbuds,
always
some
stunned that the guy
music, some
burst out of the
something.
door, yeah.
Yeah, they're way too confident that this guy, they're like, oh, he could never escape from this. I always like it. I like any movie like in Tango and Cash where they're hanging from this thing.
Yeah.
First off, if I was hanging, like if you just put handcuffs on me and then hung me around a pipe on the ceiling, I would never stop complaining about how much my wrists hurt. It's never like, oh, Jesus, God damn, what? Seriously, people, I cannot feel my hands. Like, this is serious. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, this is really painful.
Yeah.
Like, they never do that. They hang, and they hang with a certain amount of confidence and swagger that I would never have if I was in that position.
It'd be so painful.
You know what? If I was hanging, like with the steam belching out and over the pipe in the dark dungeon, I'd just be like, look, first off, we're all God's creatures. Like, come on. Number one. Number two, who needs oral? Like, honestly, because seriously, I mean it. I swear, I'll sign something. Like, and by the way, this guy hanging next to me, I don't know who he is. I don't like him. Go ahead and kill him. Like, I would not be like.
Your move, you wouldn't have to perform sexual favors. Your move would just be to talk about football uprights in the NFL for 5, 7, 8, 9 hours at a time.
I don't know, they all fall asleep.
And the security guy's like, but seriously, I mean, why aren't they higher? How many times?
Got 100 tweets yesterday because.
Oh yeah, somebody that I thought of you.
Yeah, the Dallas game, I think.
Somebody,
the Falcons and.
Kick went right over the upright.
Right.
Yeah. I do think after 9 hours, the guy would just let you down.
Yeah. All right, leave already.
Right. And I agree, the upright should be higher.
Yeah.
But you can go. You're free.
Either way, I would be complaining a lot about my wrists, and I'd be doing a lot of begging, but I wouldn't be confident.
So I forgot to mention they abducted Liam, and I don't know how he did it, but they put a bag over his head. He memorizes the car. He memorizes the turns and the sounds.
Yeah, he
And
hears.
it's not a short drive. This is like a 15-minute drive. It's like left, right, birds, church bell, car horn.
Right, so
left
he can
turn,
recreate it.
middle.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
He then tells his daughter, who they didn't get,
Right.
tells her, after he lets himself down from hanging in the room, and the security guard doesn't hear him make the cell phone, and he says, "Set off a grenade so I know where you are."
Right.
She sets one off. He somehow knows, because he's like the bionic woman with his hearing, where she is, and he's, all right, come south,
Right.
take a right, you're gonna take a left, you'll hear the birds, take a.
Yeah.
It was a little far-fetched. I'm just a little bit far-fetched for me.
Right. But, I mean, he is a super... I mean, that's what he does. You know,
apparently what
he's
he does.
trained to do that. You know who'd be the worst at that? Kimmel. Kimmel... When I lived,
The worst direction guy ever.
When I lived up in the hills, he drove like he had a sack on his head. When I lived up in the hills, he would leave my house and go the wrong direction to get to his house.
Yeah.
Like, literally, like, you know when someone's pulling out of your driveway? Like,
Yeah.
I know where you live, you know where I live. It'd be like me pulling out of your driveway and facing the wrong direction
And
to
you're
get
going,
to
"Where's
my
he
house."
going?
You're going like, where's he going? It's like, oh, he's
going to San Diego?
He thinks he's going to his house. Yeah.
Well, Liam Neeson's the opposite of that.
Yes, the opposite. Yeah. And, you know, but it was interesting that he was, you know, employing all those tricks, and the grenade thing was kind of fun and all that.
I don't want to give too much of the movie away, but what would you have done differently?
Because
I felt like it was a C+. I'm not going to say I didn't enjoy it. I enjoyed the jokes we made as we watched it.
Sure.
Maybe, I don't know. Was it even R? It felt like a PG-13.
I think...
I felt like they scaled it back a little bit.
I think my feeling on that movie is when I said I'm going to see Taken 2, everyone's like, oh, right, now they get the wife or whatever. And it's like, oh, yeah, they did. So whenever someone can figure out the plot, you know, before they see it, it's never a good sign, number one. Number two, it just seemed like a, you know, Reader's Digest version of the first one. Like, let's get it out there. Let's get a payday. Let's shorten it up.
It's hitting the same beats. That's a sequel problem.
Right.
Most of the sequels are usually inferior rehash versions of the first movie that they just run it back. Like a 48 Hours sequel was the all-time example.
Well, to be fair, you know, part of the enjoyment of a movie is being introduced to this character, whether it's Liam Neeson or a shark.
Right.
And then when the next one comes around, they just do more of what they did the first time around, and
the
it never
Hangover
seems to
2
work.
sequel is an abomination. That one actually made me angry.
Yeah.
They basically just made the same movie with the same beats, but it's in Thailand.
Yeah, well, I think the first one has a lot of pure and good intentions in mind, and then the next one's always just a money grab.
It's total money grab. And it's always funny, like, you know, when you have these, you know, the certain part of the community out here, the comedy community, these people that are too cool for school, they never sell out.
Right.
What's a bigger sellout than doing Hangover 2?
Well,
that's the ultimate sellout.
I'll defend that sellout community by saying I think they're contractually obliged to do part 2 when part 1 comes up.
So they should more blame their agent than anything.
Yeah, except for I don't know if they'd even get the gig. I don't know if Bradley Cooper would get the gig unless he agreed to do part 2 if in fact part 1 was a success.
That was a movie we should have seen in the theater together.
Yeah.
Limitless.
Well,
Limitless to me is like, that's everything I'm looking for from a 5 o'clocker.
Well,
I really like Limitless.
We got Red Dawn coming up, my friend.
We do. We do have Red Dawn. Well, hold on. Last thing on Liam.
I'm excited about that.
Because Liam has Taken 1, Taken 2. He did Unknown, which I kind of liked.
Mm-hmm.
He did the Wolves movie, which they kind of ran out of money. They were like 2 scenes short with the Wolves, whatever that movie was called.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, anytime something's in Alaska and anytime there's wolves and it's nighttime and there's like...
Well, you're the all-time People Trapped in the Wilderness fan.
I love
You love Baldwin with the bear more than anyone else ever loved that movie.
Listen, first off, it's Baldwin, the bear, and, you know, the
Anthony Hopkins
backdrop and Anthony Hopkins
and Baldwin's
and a puddle jumper and Elle Macpherson and it's right. By the way, one of the underrated names ever.
McPherson?
El McPherson. I mean, you got El like El Duce or something. You know
yeah.
what I mean? If you look at it that way, and then you got McPherson. You got Fear, Mick. You know, I mean, it's fun. It's a powerful name.
Right.
It's a very powerful name.
So you like that one? We like the one with Sidney Poitier and Tom Berenger.
Oh yeah.
There in the Woods.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hey, you're the only one I know who loves Cliffhanger more than I do. With Stallone.
Listen, I stand by Cliffhanger.
Oh, me too.
Like people take Stallone movies and they push them off into one category, like they're all over the top, or Stop, or My Mom Will Shoot, or something like that, or Daylight, or something like that kind of bubblegum popcorn fluff for you intellectual lightweights or something like that. Cliffhanger, I stand by. Lots of action. Lithgow.
Really good one.
Lithgow was a great heavy in that.
Great heavy. And Leon, the black guy that ends up fighting, was great too.
Yeah.
And also it has, we might have even talked about this before in a podcast, but it has that great scene with in the beginning when the idiot takes his girlfriend up who's never hiked. He takes her basically 11,000 feet up in her gear, and all of a sudden they're going to climb this rope across these two.
Yeah.
Obviously trying to kill her.
Yeah.
Would be my guess. But then she get her stuff whatever.
Her teddy bear falls in slow motion.
Stallone volunteers to go on the road to go get her. He risks his own life. Shimmies out. She falls. He can't save her. Guy blames him.
Right.
Michael Rooker. Blames Stallone.
You killed my girl.
You killed her. You went on that rope and you tried to save her because she would have fallen.
And by the way, you know how much you argue a call with Cousin Sal when you don't think his foot was on the 3-point stripe or something like that? Imagine if Cousin Sal was just like, you killed my wife. And you're like, well, I'm going to have to live with that.
Yeah,
you'd be like, are you nuts? You were the one who went up on the... You wanted to go on the mountain? I didn't even want to go up there. I went up there. And then I went out to save her because you were too scared to go. And then I grabbed on her. What are you nuts? I'm a hero. I could have died on that stupid... Yeah, you wouldn't be just walk away like, he's right.
It also, I do feel like we may have written some of the lines in that movie because it has a lot of those lines like, you better worry about what you left on that mountain.
He didn't leave a piece of himself on that mountain.
Left a piece of yourself.
Ah, it's great.
You used to be the best.
Oh,
Gabe,
man.
there's nobody better than you.
Oh,
Gabe. I like when Stallone has names like Gabe in a movie. I really miss Stallone.
I've realized
that era Stallone.
Can I tell you that I've really figured out that 90% of all action heroes, they talk about qualities you want them to be heroic or stoic or honest or strong or whatever. You know what it really is with action?
What?
Grip. It's all about grip.
It's
every Die Hard, anything.
Yeah.
It's all about if somebody ever. By the way, if you told me just hang from this monkey bar for a 10 Mississippi, I'd fall off.
Yeah.
But if you blew me out of the building, and I'd never I'd never fall 3 floors and then grab onto a piece of plumbing.
That was
you know what I mean? Yeah. There's all. If you think about whether it's Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible, whether it's The Bourne Identity, whether it's any
you're
action
talking about the
movie,
free fall grab.
There's the free fall grab. There's the grab and pull yourself up. There's the any movie that's an action movie comes down to grip. The entire Stallone, there's probably 8 Stallone action movies that are just all cliffhangers, all grip, yeah. And there's also the movies are so grip oriented that even when the guy blew off and the helicopter and you're just hanging off the side of the mountain going, I'd still be you're still 20 feet down a mountain hanging off a cliff.
Do you think that's why they made Cliffhanger? Stallone was at lunch with the Asian and he's like, hey Sly, do you have any ideas? I was thinking about action movies and how much gripping you do.
Got a movie called Grip, yeah.
What about... No, you can't call it Grip. What about Cliff? Something with Cliff in it.
What about Palm? Palm hanger? Palm hanger? Finger grabber?
Maybe Grip. That could be your next action movie. Your fake action movie.
I'm telling you, there's certain things I see. I see a guy driving a car. I go, I could do that. I see a guy punch a guy. I go, I could do that. But the grip stuff... It's superhuman stuff. For almost all, they'll see like elevators falling down shafts, and guys just grab the cable. And it's like, no way, man.
Well, they've
It's
obviously figured out that that's always going to be the best scene in any action movie. I was actually watching Die Hard in the middle of the night. I woke up at like 2:30 on a Saturday night and couldn't sleep and went downstairs. Die Hard was on. Hadn't seen it in a while. It was actually just on TV, so I was able to rewind it with the DVR.
Right.
Went back to like right around when stuff starts happening, and it still holds up. It's like 25 years later.
I saw the last Die Hard on TV when I was like in Houston.
Well.
No, it did not. Just
first one's great, but Bruce Willis is great in the first one.
He's
like an actual movie star, A-list, huge.
I want to get Justin Long and Tom Green together.
Oh God!
And just have him go, you were married, you were dating, you were with Drew Barrymore, right? Yeah. You were a big star. Yeah.
Oh, you're saying she has a way of...
She sucks the life right out of a man. I'm not lying, Bill. She'll take it out of you, too. Try it. Try it. I mean, Justin Long was an action star. Like, it was like a movie star, which is insane.
Yeah.
But I don't think those days will...
My wife likes that movie where they date long distance.
All wives like movies where they date long distance.
She like genuinely likes that movie, and we'll watch it when it's on. It's I don't remember what the name of it is.
It's called Your Junk is Out of the Room.
Right.
All women love the Your Junk is Across an Ocean movies. I don't know why. They don't like the ones where they're living on top of each other, but they like the ones where the guys, because the guy's extra romantic and does stuff.
Die Hard, the terrorists are great in Die Hard.
Yeah.
It's almost like, I don't know if we've ever, I was thinking like, is Die Hard one of the 5 most influential movies of the last 50 years? Like,
I don't know.
Has that movie been ripped off more than any other?
I don't want to argue with you, but I got 2 words for you, because I watch cable as well, late night.
Yeah.
Time Cop.
Was Time Cop before or after Die Hard?
It was after Die Hard.
Oh.
I watched it last night. And
that's Van Damme is going through different...
Yeah. The great thing about Time Cop takes place the future.
Oh.
2004. It's 2004, and it was made in '94. It's like, well, how much you think things are going to change in the next decade?
Escape from New York's like that too.
Yes,
it goes 18 years in the future, and it's like New York's a maximum security prison.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like it takes 12 years to pull a permit to build something in Malibu because of the Coastal Commission. Really? 18 years and we're going to turn all of Manhattan into a maximum security prison.
You know what's funny is they made all these futuristic movies in the 80s and even in the 90s to some degree. And nobody, like when they tried to think of what the future was going to be, it was always like thin TVs and like the ability to be able, like, so your face would come up if I wanted to call you.
Yeah.
Nobody ever really figured out the whole computer thing.
No.
Like, you'll have a handheld, like the iPad is not.
The computer thing was like a lot of like weird graphics, like when you don't get into a protected website, big skull and crossbones.
Yeah, like war games. Yeah.
Yeah, and big bars going in front of it and stuff. Like it was very theatrical. It's like and emotional. It's like the computer was on its period or something. Like it was very big and very upset. And so it was like. But it was never just like, nah, this doesn't work. And also, there was a lot of, so they didn't have the computer, or it didn't play a big part.
Texting.
Cars played a big part.
Right.
Yeah, but your face showing up everywhere was a big deal.
Oh, yeah.
And cars making a sound that cars don't make was a big deal. It was still the 4 wheels and the steering wheel, but it makes, like it was a weird sound. And as I always say, no denim in the future. And that's always, you never saw anyone wearing jeans or denim of any kind. You never see a guy in a jean jacket from the future. But yet, denim has been around, like, Levi Strauss is he made Levi's for miners in, like, San Francisco in 1849 or something. So your assertion that denim would be around for, like, 150 years... and then be wiped out in the next 12 years with the future. I never bought into that.
They never, when they do the future things, it's never just like slightly different.
No. It's
good. Like the haircuts have to be like crazy. What was that movie with Wesley Snipes and Stallone? Demolition Man?
Yeah.
How far in the future was that supposed to be?
I don't know. I always know, and we always talk about this, that the year 2000 from 99 to 2001 wasn't 2 years according to Hollywood filmmakers. It was like 200 years.
Yeah.
That was the big cutoff. That was a big deal. You see, nobody would make a movie in 1949 and go, yes, but in 1951 it's going to be a totally because it wasn't the end of the decade.
You know what's an amazing futuristic movie? Rollerball. Rollerball basically foreshadows everything that's about to happen with the National Football League, and might have even been a parallel for the National Football League. It's basically like the sport's going to get more and more violent. People were just going to get to the point where people were just dying on the field and get pulled off.
Jimmy Kahn and company.
And the owners are going to want to own so much of it and not going to have any individual expression. I mean, that part didn't happen, but it's pretty interesting the way they kind of saw some stuff coming.
Yeah.
You think about like football, like with what we know about concussions now.
Yeah.
And the fact that like there's this 5-6 year span where they were like, hey, don't tell anybody about this concussion thing, as guys are getting multiple ones.
They did with concussions what the cigarette industry did with nicotine, like in the 80s. Like, well, we've checked with our scientists, and it says it's not addicting. You know,
really?
It's like
really the concussions are that bad. We
have our
research.
We have our own. Yeah, we have our own scientists and doctors, and they say nothing. And it's like, well, we've looked at these cadavers' brains, and they're black. You know, and it's like, yeah, well, the data is still inconclusive. Like, it's not in life. By the way, whether you're Bill Clinton, or whether you're the cigarette industry, or whether you're the NFL, you get burned with the lying part, not with the whatever,
up part.
Yeah, if you go, hey, nicotine's addicting, and we looked into it, and we admit it is, and that's part of it, or I had a little extra action with a White House intern, like, yeah, what are you going to do? But the part that everyone gets pissed about is the part where you lie, you know. Yeah. And I was seeing stories on like Inside Sports and stuff like that, and all those shows.
Inside Sports? What show
I
is
don't
that?
know.
Real Sports?
I think George Michaels hosted that. Whatever those shows, all those shows. I was seeing stuff 10 years ago on concussions and then they'd go to interview the NFL doctor, and they'd be like, we still have no conclusive evidence. And it's like, well, do the math, by the way.
I remember the Mike Webster lawsuit was a big deal.
Yeah.
It was like 2005.
Yeah.
And I think they ended up paying his family a lot of money. And even then, it wasn't a big deal.
Oh.
I was like,
it's so sad, by the way. Mike Webster's gone. The guy who played Webster's dad in the series
Alex
is gone.
Karras is gone.
All the great ones are gone. Yeah.
What were we? Oh, we were talking about futuristic.
Liam Neeson's in a cab. Oh, yeah.
we got to talk about Fast 6.
Oh, yeah.
So when I was in London, when I was there for the Olympics, they were filming Fast 6 in London.
Wow!
And the director's like, we're going to sneak you into a scene. So I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Wow.
So the Olympics end, and it took my family to, we took the train down to France for a couple days. The day we get to France, the director's assistant emails and says, they can do the scene tonight. It's in whatever. And I was in France. And I could have been like,
wow.
Could have been the security guard.
Wow.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to tell you either. It was just we would have just gone. You would have seen it.
That would have taken me out of the moment, though. Like, I feel like
it would have broken the fourth
wall. It would have broken down the fourth wall. Yeah, I would have been staring at
me as a waiter,
your reflection in the Rock's arm butter, and been like, nah.
I'm bringing the Rock a margarita.
That's the only thing that slowed down production for Fast Fives. They ran out of arm butter in Rio de Janeiro. Did you know about that? The Rock ran out of arm butter, and they had to shut down.
What are they going to do with Fast 6? Because I've watched Fast 5 probably, I'm not exaggerating, 15 times on cable.
Wow,
it's
that's
like a security blanket.
What, are you trying to insult me?
It's like you're clicking channels and you're like,
yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm back in.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know how they're going to do better than 5. I mean, The Rock's got it, being it, obviously. Are they?
Well, I think The Rock got turned The Rock's now on the. He's now.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
He's now in the gang.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, they already did one last job.
Right.
They're already on the beach.
Right.
But now I guess Michelle Rodriguez came back at the end of Fast 5, so maybe that opens the door now for Fast 6. Like, she's in trouble.
Wait a minute. How did Nettie come back?
Remember at the tail end?
Yeah.
Remember the movie's over, they're showing
Right.
the credits, and then they're like, hey, I want you to see something. They bring The
Right.
Rock or whoever over, and it's a picture of Michelle Rodriguez.
Right. Yeah, but in Fast...
In 4, that's when Vin Diesel does the whole thing. He studies the tire tracks and knows how she died.
I wish there was one moment in my life where I could just close my eyes and recreate something.
In a car crash, yeah.
Or anything.
Yeah.
Just when I was trying to figure out something, I just close my eyes and I just see exactly what happened.
You know what happens when I close my eyes? I just see black.
Yeah, I see black
That's
too.
what happens. Not Vin Diesel. Vin Diesel sees.
Yeah, he's like... Vin's like...
Car swerved.
Vin walks down to the intersection, sees the tracks, gets down, does that thing where he's almost like an American Indian.
Yeah.
He's an asphalt Indian, where he like puts his hand down to the blacktop and he's chasing, and he's like, nitromethane. And he's like, there's only one place south of the, north of the, where are we, east, west of the Mississippi that sells nitromethane.
It's on the corner of Pico
Right,
and
right,
Wilshire.
and it goes down there. And by the way, I'm not a drag racing geek, but I happen to know there's more than one place you can buy nitromethane.
There's probably a few places.
Especially with the
probably
internet.
get it on the internet.
Especially with the internet these days.
The
but
internet might
he
help
goes
you.
down to the one place that sells it, and then he knows. But he closes his eyes and he sees not only the entire accident, he sees the dude executing her.
Oh yeah.
Which I don't know how you
That's
do that.
that becomes telepathy.
That's
at
where
that
the
point.
Indian part comes in.
Yeah.
The asphalt Indian part comes in. And then so Nettie was gone. I don't know
Nettie was gone.
how Nettie came back.
I also don't know, how did they get Michelle Rodriguez? Must have been hard.
I thought you were serious for a second. Yeah. Yeah.
It was as hard as it was to get Jordana Brewster to come back for 4 and 5. Talk about born on third base.
Jordana Brewster.
Think how well they could have done with that role with a real actress.
She is such a bad actress that she's distractingly bad when she's not talking. Like when
Right.
she's just standing
Just
next
staring,
to
she's
somebody
bad.
in a scene.
I
Yeah.
like that in Fast 5 when she throws up and that dude's wife is like, how long have you been pregnant? It's like, there's no way. She's too bad of an actress for you to know
Right.
that she might be pregnant.
Yeah. Also, for a hot chick, she does little to no complaining. Like he's like,
interesting.
we're gonna stay
Not
in the
sassy
slum in Rio, and she's
Yeah.
like, okay, just as long as we're
Cool.
together.
Is there
My
gonna be
wife
rice?
would be like, wait, what the hell? This place is a dump. Where's the air?
What did you do all those jobs for?
I gotta
We're
get
in a
my.
slum in Rio de Janeiro.
You know what? I'm gonna get a massage. I want you to think: is there Burke Williams anywhere around here?
What is your favorite scene in Fast 5? Because I have a scene that if I know I'm within 10 minutes of it, I'm just watching until it comes on.
All right. I have to go through multiple scenes.
No, there's one for me that stands out above all. Like I literally can't wait when it comes on.
Okay, I like the scene where The Rock tells the guys who tore apart the entire Ford GT40 to just put it all back together, and no one ever goes, what the F? Like, are you kidding me? That's impossible. We worked 2 days to get it, he's gonna put it back together, and he just starts walking away. Like, no one ever has any, whoa, hold on. It's way too much work to get this car put back together. That's one. I like the one where they all come together, but they don't know what's going on.
It's
I like
they
that
find
one.
the warehouse.
I like the idea that they have use of a warehouse, a large, like
In Rio de
15,000 foot warehouse that
Right.
no one seems to bother with. But yes, tell me your scene. Oh, and when she finds out they're pregnant, and Vin explains like their family now. Like I like that.
Vin, it's like about 45 minutes into the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Vin and Paul Walker have been reunited. Things have calmed down. They're on the porch.
Mm-hmm. Oh, drinking the beer.
And just Paul Walker gives him the, tell me about your dad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Vin immediately goes into a
You want me to
3-minute...
do the monologue?
Sure.
Oh, man. Every Sunday after church, he'd barbecue. Chicken, steaks, burgers.
And people from all
People
around the
from all.
neighborhood.
It was always like, he never goes, everyone was welcome except for the Armenians. He didn't like those people. No, it's always like, and everyone from around the neighborhood will come around. We join hands around the table. Like, he's so family oriented.
Yeah.
But also, Vin drinks beer like people who don't smoke, fake smoke in movies.
fake
Like, they hold the
smokers,
cigarette wrong,
Yeah.
and they're like struggling with it. He drinks Coronas like he's never had a beer in his life. I don't know why he can't fake beer. Someone's got to work that out for him.
I feel like it's the whole movie series is now an elaborate prank by really smart people and people like us. They're like deliberately provoking us with like,
Yeah.
we need a scene with Paul and Vin where they just do their thing and it's going to be really ridiculous.
Yeah.
And they're going to have a heart-to-heart conversation about Vin Diesel's dad.
Yeah. No, there's never any heart-to-heart about anyone's dad where they go, well, you asked me. We'll be out on the porch drinking a Corona, and you asked me about my dad.
Adam, tell me about your dad.
He was a 5. Anyway, you want to go back in the house?
We spent a week in Italy once, but at no point were we ever like, Bill, tell me about your dad. I would have been like, what? Why are you asking me? It's a really weird question, Adam.
He told me his boat sunk once, and that's all I needed.
That's my stepdad.
That's all I needed to know. He had a boat?
You went on. I've been meaning to confront you about this. Your revisionist history about my stepdad.
This is the Mangria talking.
No, listen. You went on your podcast and said my stepdad bought me a Porsche.
No, I said he built. Yeah, I said bought you one, but it took him a year to fix it up.
No, you always leave out that part.
No, this is no part of the story why I want to kill my dad.
Yeah, but
I know it was a
914. No.
914.
It was my 15th birthday. It was like this piece of crap Porsche that then he spent the next year like working on because he does stuff like that.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. That I would always tell that part. That's even worse.
But then you've changed it now to, well, your dad got you a Porsche when you turned 16.
No, 15, and then spent a year working on it, which is even better.
I wasn't even involved. It was
That's
like he
even
bought a car
worse.
that he wanted to work on.
But it was yours.
Well, I got to use it.
But you understand, your dad not only bought you...
It was a 1974...
914.6.
Yeah,
probably
it was that Volkswagen
1.6 and not a 2.0.
And by the way, I should have died in that car.
Oh, yeah.
I should have. I don't know how I didn't.
It's the world's
wasn't a
least
car
safe car.
Yeah, it was.
No, I use it as an example of love.
Yeah.
That's
well, your point is like your father probably gave you a $50 gift certificate to Applebee's, whatever Applebee's was in
$50.
1985.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Let's talk boxing really quick.
All right.
So, or do you have any fake movies you want to do or no?
Oh no, I'm out.
I have a reader fake movie.
Oh sure.
This is just for you to percolate on and then maybe come back. A reader sent this email about, you know how celebrities die in threes?
Mm-hmm.
So the first 2 celebrities die.
Mm-hmm.
The third celebrity is asleep that night.
Mm-hmm.
Has the vision that he's the third one, that he gets killed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So he doesn't know if it's real or not, but he knows the other 2 died.
I like that.
You know it comes in threes.
Right.
So it's like kind of a Nightmare on Elm Street crossed with whatever. That's all I got so far.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's got.
I think the title is These Things Come in Threes. That's the actual title.
It's got a little of that. Whatever that stupid series is where you cheat death, but now death's coming after you because you were supposed to die.
That's like that movie. What's the movie? The evil movie, the Wes Craven movie from like 2 years ago. Actually, that was pretty good. She gets the curse.
Yeah, by the banker, by the old gypsy
banker.
woman.
She gets the curse. That's a good movie.
Yeah.
I like that movie. All right, let's talk boxing.
Okay.
So, Bennett, actually a pretty good boxing year.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody totally cares because people have now shifted toward mixed martial arts. But like Alvarado Rios is really good.
Right.
The Andre Ward.
Yeah.
That one was good. There's been some good. I feel like there's been like 6 or 7 fights that I was really glad I watched.
Yeah, I mean the Klitschko's have kind of ruined it for boxing because everyone look at the heavyweights and then they see all these guys out of England who are like 27-0, but they don't even try against.
They
the
need to create the
Klitschkos.
super heavyweights is the problem.
Yeah,
and just once they create that, I think it'll be fine. But then for some reason they haven't done that.
But still, no one's going to challenge the Klitschko's.
Right.
But then someone at least could be the heavyweight, be like the Olympics.
Martinez and Martinez and the guy Chavez Jr.
Yeah, nobody
That was
saw
a
that
great
one
one.
coming. Well, Chavez was weird because everyone's like, oh, nepotism, and your
too
dad
slow.
got you in. He's just some pretty boy who's riding his dad's coattails and blah, blah, blah. And then the next thing you know, he's for real.
Right.
Yeah, like Freddie Roach gets
I
hold
actually
of
felt
him,
like he
and it's
gained
like,
steam as that fight went along. Like
yeah, and
3
then,
more rounds, he probably wins.
yeah, that was a great fight. One of the best fights. Oh boy, you're gonna have to help me here.
It's tough with the names.
Who is that? I know because there's
it's
so
like
many of
every
them
week
now.
There's a fight, and it's
I know.
It's not like when we were growing up. It's like, hey, the '76 Olympic team has Sugar Ray Leonard, the Spinks brothers, Howard Davis.
Right. Every once in a while, you'd have to dig deep for Jerry Corey or something,
yeah.
but you still knew who they were. They all just fought each other.
Yeah.
Who is the black female trainer? Who's like the craziest, angriest woman on the world, and she just wears fatigues everywhere and comes up with all that kind of stuff where it's like, I'm going to take a pickup truck and I'm taking the wheels off and you drag me across this swamp. Now go! And that was the whole thing, and she's yelling and stuff. And she had that guy, it wasn't Ward, oh man,
I know
I'm talking about, and he lost, and then he came back, and then he fought the guy from. It's like there's too many
we lost
guys.
Manny Stewart. We forgot to mention. I was devastated. I love
that guy.
He's a great TV guy too. I just thought he was the most insightful one.
Not only that, but let's not forget his greatest contribution to boxing. He was Vladimir Klitschko's trainer.
Oh yeah, do your thing.
Vladimir. He could not pronounce the first name of the guy
didn't care.
who had the heavyweight strap, who he trained, and didn't
just couldn't
care.
say V's.
He just couldn't do it. And I talked to Vladimir Klitschko about it. I'm like, you do understand that Manny Stewart calls you Vladimir? Right. And he's like, yes.
It's almost like it became a nickname.
Yeah, he's from Michigan. He'd say, yes, that's what he says. And I'd say, well, it doesn't bother you that he just calls you Vladimir? Like, he doesn't even try. He doesn't F up the Vladimir. It's like, no, Vladimir.
He could have been a 30 for 30. Because you think like Tommy Hearns, who lost the two greatest fights of that decade, and was in both of the fights, and at points in each of the fight, you were convinced he was probably going to win the fight. Yeah. And didn't. And that was his guy. Like, he could have been basically the Angelo Dundee, Muhammad Ali for that generation.
He was also one of these guys that was so good, he had two nicknames. He had the Hitman and the Motor City Cobra.
When you get the double nickname, that's really...
That's like you hit so hard that you need a second name.
Yeah. One nickname wasn't enough.
No. And he was, if anybody ever watches any of that Tommy Hearns stuff, he was considered like unstoppable because of his reach and because of his leverage.
6'1", 147.
And just
was like and with a straight right, that was
leverage on that straight right, and he was just knocking everybody out all over the place.
Yeah.
And the thing that's great about Tommy Hearns is I think he's 61 and still wants to fight Sugar Ray.
You're right.
Like every 3 years it comes up, like, come on, Ray, let's get together, let's get it on. Like, he really wants to fight.
Senior league boxing.
Yeah, and he fought for a while, and he fought into like light heavyweight and cruiserweight and God knows what else. I mean, there's so many cool stories. Like the idea that Marvin Hagler never fought again and went to Italy and started acting is insane. I mean,
those four guys, like Duran had the no mas.
Right.
People wrote him off.
Right.
He's knocked him out.
Right.
And he kind of rallied back. He had this whole second career that nobody even remembers.
And he's also one of these guys that went through like 5 weight divisions too.
Right.
Like started off as a flyweight, ended up as like, I don't know, cruiserweight or light heavyweight.
Right.
Like,
and then Sugar Ray had the, he beat the greatest redemption, the Duran. He made Duran quit.
Right.
He beat Benitez in 15.
Right.
He beat Hearns in my favorite fight of all time. I love that fight. And then, detached retina, cocaine problem.
Sure.
He's out of the loop. He's done. And it takes 5 years. He comes back and he beats Hagler.
Yeah.
And then fights for 5 more years. One of the weirdest careers, I think, ever in any sport, not just boxing.
Yeah, and... and then he has a big one with like Donnie Lalonde.
Yeah, he won the light heavyweight.
Light heavyweight, and then he gets destroyed by like Michael Nunn or somebody like that.
Sugar Ray getting to 180 pounds is a little far-fetched for me.
Yeah, but
Have you met him? He's about 5'8".
176, I think, or 178.
Sugar getting
whatever.
176 is a little outrageous.
But he beat the Golden Boy, Donnie Lalonde.
Canada's own.
Canada's own Donnie Lalonde. And then, Terry Nunn, or Terry Norris, or let's see. Terry Nunn was the lead singer from Brazil. The band. Wait a minute.
Terry Norris? No, he's the director of Brazil.
No, wait a minute.
Terry Norris was the... Sorry.
Hold on, we have like 5 different Terry.
Terry's a tough name.
There's a band called Brazil, right?
Terry somebody directed some weird movies, and then Terry Norris was the guy who beat Leonard.
There's Terry Norris.
Yeah.
Then there's the blonde chick from Riding on the Metro.
Oh, from Berlin?
Berlin.
Yeah.
And then there was the guy from Monty Python.
Terry Gilliam.
Yeah, now we got to work this one
Terry
out.
Gilliam.
Well, now, who was the one from Berlin?
Terry somebody, and then Terry Bradshaw also existed. Confusing name.
Terry Norris is the one that took out. Yeah.
Where do you stand on Against All Odds? I forgot to ask you.
I like it. I like it because I like a young in shape Jeff Bridges, but with a beard.
It has a whole football side to it that I totally forgot.
Webster's dad was in
Webster's dad's in it. I like having
Woods.
I like movies where somebody has to go find somebody. Mm-hmm. It's usually a rich daughter or son.
Yeah.
And they're always on the beach, which is exactly where I would go if I was a rich person who wanted to get away from my family.
Yeah. Right.
And then they get pulled in, and
the whole thing.
Those should happen more. Those.
The whole thing took the club that Woods owned. James Woods owned was the club that was in Hollywood that I saw that was where we had the after party for Molly Ringwald's Pretty in Pink. So I know the club well. So it was cool for me to see that club in a movie, and I'd seen like bands and shows. I saw the Boss Tones there, like stuff like that. So that was cool. They had that race down Sunset, the windy part of Sunset with the 308 Ferrari and the 911.
Tropical location. Rachel Ward's great.
Rachel Ward is great.
Underrated 80s movie.
And you got a lot of good football stuff in there, and
the Phil Collins song.
Rachel Ward, Against All Odds. Yeah, Rachel Ward unfortunately showed up at the same time as the chick from Weird Science.
Kelly LeBrock.
Kelly LeBrock and Rachel Ward showed up at the same time, and they're both super hot.
There's only room for one.
It turns out there was room for neither, and then too much room for one. But Rachel Ward was as good looking as a human being gets at age 27 or whatever
plus,
she was.
If you were that good looking in the 80s, you were like 3 times as good looking as.
Yeah.
Like people now, everybody's good looking.
Right, back then. Yeah.
Back then, you really had to reach for some of the.
Yeah.
I feel the same way about Kelly Preston.
Yeah.
She's so far ahead of whoever else the other people were who were supposed to be good looking in these movies. It's a real drought.
Then there's Terry Bozzio from.
Terry Bozzio? You're still on Terry's?
I'm still on Terry. There's Terry Nunn. Wait a minute. There's Terry Norris.
What about Terry Todd?
There's Terry Nunn. Bozzio.
Terry Bozzio?
Missing Persons.
Terry Bozzio, drummer.
Yeah, his wife was the lead singer.
That might have been too obscure even for me.
Yeah, sorry. Well, no, but then what was the wife's name in Missing Persons? Because the wife, she was a Bozzio.
I think we're definitely cutting this. Oh
no,
out.
We're keeping this. This is gold.
It's really.
This is gold.
You might have to go back to the Vin Diesel speech.
This is gold.
But seriously, Adam, tell me about your dad. Is he a kind guy? Did he used to barbecue for people in the neighborhood?
My dad after church.
What do you think people will say when they ask Sonny someday when Sonny's on a porch in Rio de Janeiro with Paul Walker? Sonny, tell me about your dad.
Well, my wife has poisoned my son and my daughter to a certain extent, in that they always say Daddy's checked out. Daddy's checked out. So my wife.
What does that even mean? Checked out, like emotionally?
It means you're talking about Legos.
Oh, you're just
and
not
I'm
listening.
thinking about business.
Yeah.
You should. I've said this to my wife. You should be that I'm checked out.
Right.
When he's talking about Legos.
Right.
Because otherwise, if I'm like, what? Legos? This is awesome.
You made a police station?
Yeah, then you're married to somebody who's going to make $27,000 a year.
Yeah.
Like, you don't want a guy who's really amped up about Legos.
You want somebody who's pretending to be amped up as he's secretly thinking about what his next move is.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what you want. That's what you get
want.
with me. So,
That's what you
yes,
want.
checked
That's
out.
true love right there.
Checked out and proud of it. Yes.
So that's what Sonny will say?
Sonny thinks I'm checked out. Yeah. Oh, he's checked
So
out.
it'll be like,
Yeah.
Sonny, tell me about your dad. Oh, my dad. You could talk to him about Legos.
Yeah.
And he'd be looking at you, but you could tell he wasn't listening.
Yeah.
Then he'd go in his garage and he had 10 cars.
Don't believe me? Go bring up Legos in front of him. See how he reacts. Watch him glaze over like a donut. Yeah.
My dad would pour himself a glass of wine and
Yeah.
watch the worst movie on Cinemax 3.
My dad, my wife actually used you
Uh-oh.
and cousin Sal as
Other examples of
as
bad
examples
husbands?
of good husbands.
Oh, God.
That's what I
That's
said.
a terrible idea.
I was laughing
Oh,
my
no.
ass off. I was like, listen,
There are better examples.
No, that's what I said. She said, oh no, everyone works. These guys all work. Like, Bill works, cousin Sal works. They work. They're not checked out. They have plenty of time for the. Oh yes, you were held up as a shining example.
Oh, God.
I don't know if I'm ever used as an example, and that would never work. But yeah, she actually dropped your name and cousin Sal.
I'm really happy. I think cousin Sal would be happier than anybody.
I'll tell him. I'm sure his wife would present a formidable argument against whatever argument Lynette pushed forward.
I'm the same person who took his son to the where they filmed the last 45 minutes of the original Halloween.
Oh really?
And it's on Orange Grove Street, right off of Sunset.
Oh, it is?
The whole remember the they go back and forth.
Right.
I made him. He had a Pats jersey on just randomly, and I put the Myers mask on him and took pictures of him in front of both houses. Yeah. So I don't know if I'm a shining example.
But that's not checked out.
I would say that might be a little too checked in and not in a good way.
Yeah, there's a certain neuroses there, but I would. That's a calorie burner and it's good. Just
He's
like
good. He likes the Halloween movies because he likes the music.
well, it's like when. Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't. Obviously, I don't let him watch
Well,
the bad parts.
we
but
started by talking about the boy that Liam Neeson took and his father, while being sort of misguided. Still, you couldn't accuse him of being checked out.
Good point.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though his son kidnapped American women and forced them into a life of drug abuse and sexual slavery.
Yeah.
Still, that was a dad that was checked into the kid's relationship.
He was checked in financially.
Mhm.
He was checked in
spiritually.
Spiritually. He
Mhm.
had made a lot of good connections.
Mm-hmm.
So you have Thursday, November 8th at Washington, D.C., the Warner Theater,
This Thursday,
8
yes.
p.m.
That's right.
Saturday, November 10th, New York City Town Hall,
This Saturday, Town Hall.
8
Yeah.
p.m.
Big place.
Tickets are available at AdamCarolla.com.
That's right. Yeah.
You can always find out. And you figured out how to do these, what are they, like an hour and a half comedy shows?
Mm-hmm.
You use slideshows. You're like a jukebox at this point. You can go in 50 different directions during the show and do things. And
Yeah.
it's
yeah.
kind of what I always thought you could do, but I never thought you'd actually do it. And now you're doing it.
I never really had to do it, and then I lost my job, and I was like, what the hell? And it's been kind of cool, actually, and doing
It's a
theater
great
and
show.
doing all
It's
that
really
stuff.
good.
Oh, I'm glad. Well, you joined me up on stage
I did.
at the
I'm
Will
due for
Turn.
another one. When's your next LA one?
Doing one with Dennis Miller at in like Anaheim at the Grove coming up, but that's with Dennis
We
Miller.
might have
so I
to
don't
break
need
down Cliffhanger
that. I'm all
at
for
some
it.
point. We could watch like 4 scenes from that and do it.
We can watch 8 scenes from that and do
And then
it.
we're gonna watch a couple clips that I handpicked
Good.
that we're gonna put on our YouTube channel.
Let's
Adam
do it.
Carolla, AdamCarolla.com, Mangria, available in stores at buymangria.com.
Not in stores, just in buymangria.com.
Available not in stores, just at
Right, available
buymangria.com.
not in stores, yeah. But it's delightful, is it not?
And I could tell you checked out about 3 seconds ago.
Huh?
So I get to sign off. Whoa!
Thank you for downloading the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Too much fun.
Check out more podcasts at the iTunes Music Store or at Pod Center at ESPNradio.com.
Peace out.